Hi there, it's me again, bringing you another 40k rep for the channel.
What are you doing here?
Another Tempest report this time. It's been a while since I cracked out the old loony lads, so I'm bringing Orcs, and facing off against Tyranids for the first time in frickin' ages. It's also my first full-size game against their new codex.
This is great, this can't go wrong.
I actually requested to play against them, as I wanted to see what they're like. Anyway, let's take a look at the rosters. Here's our mission rules. It's vital ground, with corner deployment, and we got Vox static and scrambler fields, increasing the CP reroll cost by 1, and messing up potential deep strikes and strategic reserve deployments etc. All the terrain is obscuring except for the small wall at the top of the board, and for a change we didn't include that much breachable terrain, with a lot of it being large impassable rocks rather than ruins. My Mega Dread is in deep strike along with the Storm Boys, and everything else starts on the table. A closer look at my table quarter. Gazkul is behind the Def Dread in the center. There's an empty patch of land here which I could have deployed units in, but to do so would have left them open to being eaten by the Reaper Tyrants straight away, so I had to be a bit cautious. A slightly better look at the nids. His Tyrannicide is in deep strike, loaded with 6 Pyrovores. Here's his main central deathball, with the Tyrant, Tyrant Guard, Maliceptor, Venomthropes, and other assorted nastiness.
Terrific. That's really good.
So nids get the first turn, and draw Storm hostile objective, raise banner, and no retreat. In movement, the Parasite and Warriors take the top objective, then he sends 3 Pyrovores to take the center, and keeps everything else back. In shooting, he does like a wound or two to some Mega Knobs with his indirect fire, but most importantly he blocks off both of the closest objectives to me with units of Spore Mines. 6 Spores go onto the objective down here, and 5 onto the one in the center.
Going on? Exactly. Right.
I don't think I've ever faced them before, and quickly realized they're a frickin' nightmare. Basically if I go near them they can explode, doing a mortal wound on 2 to 4, and D3 mortals on a 5+. That's an average of just over 1 mortal wound per spore, which isn't too terrifying, but it's the damage spike potential that's really messed up. A few lucky 5+s and they can be wiping out whole units. Anyway, this turn Tyranids easily score banners and no retreat, for 10 points total. In my turn 1, I draw no retreat, grind, and secure no man's land. Not bad. Here's my movement. I'm nowhere near as aggressive as I'd like to be here, for 2 reasons. Firstly, I worked out that the best way of dealing with the spores is to try and kill most of the unit in shooting, then charge the remainder and take the objectives. This means I haven't moved on to the objectives yet. Secondly, the Winged Tyrant can easily one-round any single unit in my army, including Gazkul, which wouldn't be a problem in itself as I could then counterattack. However, it has a stratagem to then move afterwards, so I wouldn't be able to retaliate. Therefore I tried to move so that Gazkul and my beast boss can't just be wiped out turn 2 with no retaliation possible. I do pretty much what I intended in shooting, with some judicious use of terrain to make sure I cannot see the spores with too many models, risking wiping out the units. I kill 3 from the southern unit, and 3 from the central unit. The kill rig also kills one of the Pyrovores. I then charge the central unit with my boys, taking a few casualties from the explosion. And the Mega Knobs charge the southern unit. The 3 bastarding bastard spores managed to kill 2 whole frickin' Mega Knobs with their explosion, though.
It's bullshit!
Oh, and the Scrapjets targeted the northernmost unit of warriors in shooting, but the warriors activated their -1 damage strat, and I don't wipe the unit. Not sure I even kill a single one, to be honest. So, no grind. But I do score my other 2 cards, putting me level with the nids on 10 points. Turn 2. Nids kept Storm hostile objective, and now draw secure no man's land and supremacy. The Maliceptor stomps onto the central objective, as the zoanthropes come forward, and the Hive Tyrant flaps towards my main force. The eagle-eyed among you may notice my scrapjets are in a different place to last turn. Now I remember that I kept them back in this position, it's just that my previous picture was taken before I changed their movement. A better shot of the approaching Hive Tyrant?
As far as I'm concerned, he poses a very real threat.
And at the center of the table, the tentacly things behind the ruins are his venomthropes, giving a crippling -1 to hit or to most of his army. Finally, he brings down the Tyrannocyte behind the central ruins, and the 6 Pyrovores disembark. In Psychic he easily destroys the remaining Orc boys from the central objective. Not sure what buffs and whatnot get cast, as I didn't keep notes of that shiz. Shooting sees 3 of the 4 Mega Knobs in this unit destroyed, and they also have -2 leadership from Psychic 2. He dumps 8 more friggin' spore mines on this central objective. The Hive Tyrant then charges the Death Dread, mullers it with ridiculous ease, then uses a 1 CP stratagem to fly all the way back here, protected by the Tyrant Guard.
I'm helpless!
So, nids scored 10 for primaries this turn, and they also score all 3 of their cards. Orcs Turn Two. I discarded Grind last turn, and my 3 new cards are Raise Banner, Assassination, and Defend Stronghold. I only control my home objective this turn, so just get 3 points for primaries. I had some Mega Knobs here, but it looks like they must have died to shooting and I forgot to take a picture. So, Gazkul calls the Wah, and as you can see, he's bitten the bullet and moved up towards the center. This means he triggers the spore mines, and takes 4 mortal wounds.
Why did I do it?
Nobody knows.
We don't know.
Well, actually I do know. The way I see it, I can't kill his Tyrant this turn, and next turn his Tyrant has the range to fly in and kill Gaz, then retreat with impunity, unharmed. Knowing this, I figure I need to throw Gaz forward right away and get some actual use out of him before he dies. He was then the obvious choice to soak up the damage from the spore mines, since they can only do 4 mortal wounds to him, whereas they'd likely kill the Squigosaur. Just a mini rant about spores here. If they kill one of my units, that would count towards any kill points or grind points for the Tyranids. But if I shoot a unit of spores to death, I get nothing, zip, zilch, nada. I mean, what the hell?
How is that fair to me?
In other news, the Mega Dread Deep Strikes up here to threaten the Maliceptor, and the Storm Boys and Deathcop does Deep Strike near the bottom center of the board. Due to the mission rules, we can't Deep Strike onto objectives, so I have no way of scoring Raise Banner with them this turn. Psychic's uneventful, and in shooting I managed to bring the Maliceptor down to 6 wounds. I'm quite eager to kill it, A because it's so dangerous, but also because B, I think it's a character for Assassinate. I hadn't asked my opponent, though, I just assumed. Fuck's sake.
How do you explain being completely wrong?
I think my Deathcop does shoot at the Pyrovores, but only kill 1. Man, the Venomthropes giving me -1 to hit is absolutely devastating, cutting my range damage in half. Okay, so it's time for the big charge from the Mega Dread. For those of you who don't know, with ramming speed this nasty bugger has a 4d6 drop the lowest charge, rerollable. That's right, it gets to keep the 3 highest dice. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I make that about a 90% chance of success on the first try, which is surely one of the most reliable deep strike charges in the game. I roll terribly and fail the first charge. No problem, I'm an orc so have a free reroll. This shit's in the bag.
Is it?
Well, here's my goddamn pissing shitting bastarding reroll.
Fucking cocaine!
Thing sucks!
So, again correct me if I'm wrong about the math, but as I had a reroll, that's like a 1% chance of failure, right? Moving swiftly on, then, Gazkul becomes the hero we need, and he makes quite a long charge into the Maliceptor and Pyrovores, with the Squig boss going into just the Pyrovores. The kill rig charges the other Pyrovores and the Zoanthropes. So in the center, all targets are eliminated successfully.
Smash everything.
Of note, however, is that the Maliceptor had Catalyst on it for a 5-up feel no pain, and Gaz literally only just got enough wounds through to kill it. Also, the Pyrovores had some bastarding acid blood thing, maybe it was a stratagem, and even though they got mullered by the Squig boss, they turned round and did 7 mortal wounds to him on death. Brilliant. Over here, I want to take out the Zoanthropes due to their stupid mortal wound threat, and managed to take down 2. I'm noticing already that every single organism seems to be significantly chonky and a pain to deal with. Well, I score a total of 2 secondaries that turn, from killing enemy units, but I'll get 5 more if I still hold my home objective at the end of Tyranids' next turn. Tyranids Turn 3 cards are Bring It Down, No Prisoners, and Investigate Site. Bring It Down procs the kill rig. Here's movement. The Tyranid counterpunch is looking a bit scary, with the Tyrant flapping down towards the kill rig, a unit of warriors also encroaching on it, and the Venom Thropes drifting across to threaten both Gaz and the Squigosaur. Here's a frickin' badass shot of the warriors heading towards the kill rig. I do have the extra cannon thing that slots in here, I just keep losing it. Tyranids easily put 4 wounds onto Gaz in either psychic or shooting, I can't remember how though. They also then dump a bunch more spores onto the topmost no man's objective, which a unit of warriors is still sitting on. The kill rig also gets brought down to 5 wounds in shooting, or psychic, then the Tyrant and warriors charge, and the Tyrant mullers it with comical ease. In the center, the Tyrant guard charge Gaz, and the Venom Thropes charge both Gaz and the Squigosaur. Looks like Gaz is only on 2 wounds, so he must have taken wounds in both shooting and psychic. Or it might in fact have been the parasite flying over him and doing something funky, now that I think of it. Anyway, both of my characters get easily squished, so at the end of the turn Tyranids have consumed all the biomass in this part of the board.
Organic.
And as an aside, holy frickin' shizballs, I thought Venom Thropes were just supporty beasts, but in combat they're no joke. I just worked out that on average they should do over 5 wounds to my Squigosaur, so yeah, he was toast. Nids scored Investigate Site and Bring It Down, then, for 10 points. Their total so far is 57. My turn 3 cards are No Prisoners and Bring It Down, and I still have Raise Banner. At least I'm now easily able to score Raise Banner with my Storm Boys. I move up as aggressively as possible with the Mega Dread and Scrapjets. They're gonna have to do a lot of work now, believe you me. Here's a better shot of what they're up against this turn. There's no psychic, so in shooting, the Scrapjets manage to kill 2 of the Venom Thropes, and the big old Tyrannicide is my target for Bring It Down, so the Defcopt is let loose, but roll very lackluster, and I barely scratch it, with only 2 wounds going through, for 6 damage.
I'm very disappointed.
Much as I'd love for the Mega Dread to charge in and flatten the Tyrant, it's just too far. It does make a charge into the Tyrant Guard, though, and the Scrapjets charge the Parasite of Mortrex. The Parasite gets predictably flattened and the Scrapjets pile into the Venom Thrope. The Mega Dread struggles into the Hive Guard, though. I think it could easily muller all 3, but somehow I just roll poorly and only kill 1. I believe they may have had Catalyst on them, which no doubt made all the difference. So, I just score Raise Banner this turn, and killed 1 unit. I did score my defend objective in Tyranids last turn, too. I make my total 34, to Tyranids 57. Tyranids Turn 4 cards are Assassinate, Grind, and Hold the Line. They start by hurling a nearby floating unit of Spore Mines, which hadn't really been pictured yet, into my Storm Boys, killing all of them. The Spore Mines which had been on the topmost objective also suicide themselves into the Mega Dread, causing 9 wounds.
That's just horrible.
The Tyrant also spots poor little Makari, just minding his own business by the ruins, ripe for an assassination. Here's what the board looks like. They haven't even been pictured yet, but he has his Biovores and Gargoyles just chillin' at the back. Makari goes down to Psychic or Shooting. And the Tyrant then charges into the Scrapjets. It kills 2 of the Scrapjets. Annoyingly, because he's now nerfed, the Mega Dread fails to kill any more of the Tyrant Guard, and they bring him down to 3 wounds. So, another 10 primaries for Nids this turn, and 11 points for their secondaries. My turn 4. Oh look, a couple of things I missed last turn. Nids put another unit of Bastarding Spores on the bottommost no man's objective, and they killed 3 of the Defcopters in shooting. Anyway, I didn't get a picture of my secondary cards this turn, but it doesn't matter, because one thing I do know is that I didn't score any of them. I just get 3 for holding my home objective, and that's it. The Tyrant easily finishes off the last Scrapjet, although I did finally manage to put a few wounds onto it last turn with the old Scrapper.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
The Mega Dread combat is somehow a stalemate again, with neither side doing any damage. It's finished off in Tyranids Turn 5, though, by the Tyrant. I don't think Tyranids score any more secondaries, but they do get some primaries. In my turn 5, I just get 3 more points for my home objective. I have nothing left except my units holding the objective, so I don't score any more secondaries. Let's take a look at the scores and see just how badly I lost, then. So I make it 93-50 to the Tyranids. At the time I thought I scored 45, but I think I missed one of my secondary cards. Either way, it doesn't really matter, as it's a huge victory for the nids. So I'm in no way saying this game was unwinnable, but it certainly felt like that with my skill level. On top of that, my opponent used the nids very well, so I just don't see what I could really have done. Being more aggressive in deployment and turn 1 would surely have just led to all of my big hitters being picked off with impunity by the tyrant, and masses of pyrovore flamers. Was there anything obvious I missed, or anything you'd have done differently? Let me know in the comments. This nid army had a lot of different stuff in it to the main things I've read about, but it still seemed pretty mental. Having my shooting neutered, and then having to engage with the nids on their terms, through a hail of spore mines, and confront beasties that are tougher and better than my own guys in combat, just seemed like a recipe for disaster for the poor orcs. I take consolation in the fact that Orcs is never beaten, though. Despite the big loss, it was still a fun game as always, and nice to get the Orcs out on the field again. Did I mention that Orcs is never beaten? Next time, I'm playing a rematch against Black Templars, with my 1,000 Sons. We agreed that we wouldn't use Abaddon and Halbrecht this time. Well, that brings us to the end of another report. Thanks to my opponent, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and all that shiz. Goodbye.